Okay, and before we go actually and dive into writing some code and looking at the database, let's just also do kind of a just overview of what we're looking at here. We're looking at the Moodle code base. It's made up of all these folders and a config file that's separate. It's made up of some composer vendor libraries that are also separate um, from the Git repo, but are pulled in with composer installs. And we also obviously have all these database tables. So, I just want to show you, like, in say the auth folder, we have all the auth plugins, and each plugin is basically made up of a version file and maybe a settings file if it has some settings, and maybe maybe a database tables and stuff like that, um, and some classes. And so we can look at the basic structure of all these auth plugins, and they're all the same. I mean, look at them: version, settings, DB. Version, settings, DB. I mean, some are bigger than others. You can kind of just tell that. Let's look at a block, HTML block, version, settings, DB folder as well. Every plugin in Moodle follows this basic pattern, and that's something we have to learn as well, is to make Moodle recognize a new plugin. We also have to just create these files and run an upgrade that Moodle will detect, and then kind of load that plugin into its database. Let's look at like an enroll plugin. Same thing, version file, we have settings for it, and we can have some database files as well. I want to find a plugin that has like database tables as well. There would be probably something like an admin tool. So, I mean, all of these files here, I mean, this is what I want to show you. All these folders, it's not really that scary. It's kind of easy to compartmentalize every different plugin as just its own thing. And here's like an install file. So here it would like define what fields it's going to have for the custom lang admin tool. Okay, and we can go and find that as well in the database. So if we go down, tool custom lang, it's the same table that's been laid out and defined in an install XML file, and that's been installed here. And the way that it's kind of modularized like this makes it kind of a lot easier to understand. So we don't just have a whole pile and just a whole mess of just everything depending on everything. Everything to do with, for example, this custom lang tool lives in here, in this folder. And if we just deleted this folder, the rest of the site would be fine. Nothing else depends on this. It's very extendable, and this custom lang folder here is just extending Moodle in this direction a little bit. But, I mean, you don't have to understand anything about it. You don't have to look in this folder at all. Just lock that away and know that whenever you want to learn about this particular plugin, all the code for it is in here. And it'll follow the exact same setup that it has followed in all your other plugins. So, and it's a nice feeling. It's nice to be able to kind of compartmentalize all these different parts of the code base. I guess one of the more core or fundamental or foundational parts of Moodle would be the lib folder here, where it really does have just a whole pile of different functions that can be pulled in basically anywhere in the site. There would be a whole bunch of different functions here. For example, we could look at maybe Moodle lib. That's kind of like a standard one. We use this to like hash the password. So there it is. And if you have like a good IDE, whenever you start typing somewhere, these functions will just start to pop up for you. So if I want to do something now, like I want to get user, oh cool, like I've got all these core Moodle functions that are just being pulled from all these lib files that I can use. And they're often named pretty well, so you can find what you want, like course, get something, change this, change that. You've got a lot of flexibility, and it's definitely great to be able to use all these core functions. You don't want to have to rewrite and reinvent the wheel all the time, because there's a lot has been done for us in here, and we will be using that. So I guess it's just nice to know that when we want to add some functionality, add a new plugin, what we're going to do is find the appropriate place. If our plugin's going to have to do with auth, it would probably go here. If our plugin is going to be just helping admins do something, maybe it'd be an admin tool. It would find the appropriate place in the code and basically make a new directory and put in our basic boilerplate file structure, like a version file, a settings file, and go from there and basically build up the plugin like that. And that's what we will go into in a few videos time. And one more quick thing I just wanted to flag as well before we get into stuff is the admin CLI folder. Here is some very useful command line interface scripts that we will be using, some of them, at least definitely like the purge caches one, because we make changes in the code and they won't actually take effect in the site until we remove the cache. So the Moodle will actually fetch it again from the code or from the database. So running these scripts is super useful. We can just run one now, like for example, and run any PHP file. You write PHP and then the path to the file. So admin CLI purge caches. It just runs like that. It's very quick, but it makes the next page load very slow because what we've done is removed all of the theming, all the CSS, JavaScript, all of that has to be fetched again. Makes the page load slower, but we can even look at the script. You can see that we can have a read of what it does basically. But definitely super useful, and now it's finally loaded again, and something we will be using. So now, this course is aimed at Moodle developers. We want to get kind of in there, we want to get into the back end, so we don't want to be scared of running PHP scripts like this.